Hi, uh, this video was inspired by Tommy Green's Sunday talk, and if you want to have a look at the whole of Tommy's talk, it's on, you can either go to Tommy Green or the Rev Reality YouTube channel. It's about love. 1 Corinthians 13 says, "If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship, that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put away childhood things. For now, we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we will see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love." What does this mean to us now, today, in the world that we are now in the world of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all these other social networking platforms? You don't get to be one way on social networking behind your keyboard and another when you meet someone face to face. If it is real enough to ruin relationships and tear apart families, then it is real enough for this. And Facebook and Twitter and Instagram are real things. We are ripping each other apart on social media for their politics, their faith stance, where they spend their money, where they are going on holidays even, whatever. And we are using this platform to damage real relationships. We need to talk to people on social media as if they were standing in front of you. And if you wouldn't say something to somebody's face, then don't say it online. We don't talk to each other as we are human beings. We get very bold behind a keyboard when we're in front of a screen, and that's not right. We need to talk to people online like they're the most precious individuals in the world, because they are the most precious individuals to God and in God's eyes, and they should be in ours. The world is watching because it says they will know that we are Christians by our love for one another. Now, this love needs to be supernatural. We need to love each other in a way that is different from the world, that it is obvious to other people. We need to be able to say we were given this love from God, and so we give it away to other people. They won't know that you are a Christian by your political party, or by how much money you have, or by the car that you drive, or any of these worldly things. The only way that people will see Christ in this world is through the love that we show others, through Jesus' impossible love for others through us. When Paul was talking about people eating meat that had been sacrificially slaughtered to other gods, one man says he eats the meat, one man says he doesn't. Which is right? Paul says you are both right, because God has accepted you both. Don't judge each other, don't criticize each other, just get along. Who are you to judge someone else is serving? To his own master he stands, or falls, and he will stand. Who are we to judge? We are here just to love. God's grace is sufficient for all of us. Stop doing the shaming, blaming, judging thing that we are constantly doing, and just love. We will all stand before God's judgment seat alone, and God's not going to be bothered about other people or what we said to other people. He's going to be bothered about us. And Jesus is going to measure us against his commandment that we are to love others in the same way as he loved us. Paul says you have all these differences between you. Just love each other and then shut up. Otherwise, you are going to hurt one another. It's not about rules. It's not about our politics. It's not about your ideology. It's about how good you are at loving people. More importantly, you're only as good at loving the people that you hate. That's the standard of love. Not the people who you're friends with, not the people who you agree with, but rather the person who you hate most in the world. That's the standard of love that we have. If I can love my enemy with no strings attached, then I'm a Christian. We hate the sin, but love the sinner. But rather, the sin doesn't matter. I need to love the sinner because we are all sinners. If you love your friends and hate your enemies, you are anti-Christ. You don't possess the mind of Christ, and you do not have the mind that Jesus wants you to have. This is not about ideology. This is about love, love, love. You are only as good at loving as you are on your worst day. Unless you can stop at I love you with no additions, then you are not getting it. It's not I love you, but you could do this, or I love you, or you could do that. It's just I love you. We have an opportunity to show the world that love, what love looks like. And yet we are doing the same thing as the church in Corinth did. We are split down political lines, gender lines, equality lines, and it has to stop. We need to look like supernatural, loving people. We don't get to pick sides, period. We just need to love. Because at the moment, we pick our side, one side or the other side. And Jesus could ask us to die for a person on the opposing side. If you are not ready to do this, you are not walking in impossible love. That's the standard of Christianity. People are breaking and losing relationships over things that do not matter in comparison to love. Are you ready to die for the people that you disagree with? Are you ready to die for the KKK member? Are you ready to die for the paedophile? Are you ready to die for the prostitute, the guy sleeping rough with a needle in his arm, for the Nazi fanatic, for whoever you hated? Are you ready to die for them? In the Bible, Jesus is asked, "Who is my neighbour?" His response, it's your political enemy. It's the guy that your family and your tribe has hated for years and years and years, going back for generations. That's your neighbour. That's who you should love. What will turn the world upside down? Stop acting like the rest of the world, and stop acting like the rest of the world does when somebody offends you and spits on you and disrespects you. Love them. It's hard, but it's what Jesus would do. We all belong to each other. Black, white, Asian, Indian, Chinese, we're all belonging to each other. Even if you hate everything that somebody stands for, you still need to love them. For we still have to see Jesus in that person and love him. Stop fighting with each other over earthly things and concentrate on heavenly love. Take a look at your social media and see how loving you are. Does it look like love, like the love of Christ? Or does it look like opinionated, judgmental BS? Check it out. Christians today look just as divided as everyone else in the world because we aren't showing love. Christians, stop judging other people because they do things differently than you do. And that goes for people in the church and people outside of the church. Your commitment is to love other people like Jesus loved you on your worst day. Who are we going to be as Christians? Make up your mind to be not to be a stumbling block to someone else. I will love everyone, and I don't care about their viewpoints because my standard is love. Whoever you hate, are you willing to love them? No? Then stop calling yourself a Christian. Because whatever their viewpoints, you must love them as Jesus loved you. We can't hate people, ever. Everyone is worthy of love. If you were a Christian and you have a list of enemies, you are blowing it. You're missing the mark and you are in sin. You either love like Jesus or you're missing it. We are not on anyone's team. We are a kingdom unto ourselves. Jesus had these two guys in his disciples. He had Matthew, the tax collector, who worked for Rome, and he had Simon the zealot. And they were both disciples of Jesus. Jesus told them, "You're on my team, now get along." One man's working for Rome, and one man wants to overthrow Rome at any cost. And Jesus says, "Follow me, give up what you have known, your previous ways, and follow my way." And that's what he's saying to us. Give up what your previous ways were and follow in my footsteps, in my ways. The world to come is way better than what we are fighting over. If we are image bearers of Christ, we don't play the game. We love everyone. Where we are at is that we would rather be right than love our enemies. And we have to stop it. Whose team do we want to be on? Our own or Jesus's? Drop all the little flags that we are carrying and follow and put them down and follow the Lamb. Jesus died for all our worst enemies. So be careful how you talk to them. Whatever you think is important, it is not more important than the people that Jesus laid down his life for. And that's everyone, with no exceptions. Don't hurt your brother because of your opinion. Don't hurt your sister because of your preference. There's a standard of love that unites all. Don't step on others who don't approve of what you're thinking is right. Whatever you believe is important in your faith. It is not more important than loving the human that stands or types in front of you. Never more important than loving the person. We have to start seeing Jesus in everyone who is standing in front of us. And we have to start seeing Jesus in everyone who is typing in front of us. Jesus loves you, period. Jesus loves everyone. That's every single human being on this planet. And we have to reflect that love. So if your social media page doesn't look like love, then we need to think, what are we doing? And are we more focused on learning how to love, or are we more focused on being right, looking good, and being in control? What are you about? Because if someone wanted to know what you were about, it wouldn't take them long to look at your social media page or seeing how you react to other people. We are about all sorts of stuff. But is it very loving? Have an offensive love. Because no one can get us to pick an earthly team. Be all about loving people. Love, love, love. The standard is how well you love your enemies. Would you die for them? Because Jesus would. And that's the point. Jesus would die for every one of us. And he has done. And yet we continue to show contempt for people constantly. We need to show love. We need to be expressing ourselves in love. We need to stop taking sides and show every person that we come in contact with the love of Christ. And then maybe, just maybe, we'll make a difference on this planet. Amen.